Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Today's video is all about tier trays. I am sharing a very long video that I put together for you guys with all the tier tray DIYs that I have created in the past. So this is a whole bunch of videos put together, so some of them might be a little bit out of sorts, things in there, but nevertheless they include tier tray DIYs for all the seasons. So let's get started. Hi guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Sonja and today, as you all know, I love decorating tier trays. You can check out all of my tier tray decor over on my home channel. So today I decided to create a couple Valentine's Day decor pieces for my tier tray. For my very first one, I'm starting with this slab of wood. It is a piece that came from a different project, just an old piece of wood, and then I cut out a love stencil with my Cricut, just a simple love. You can write this out on your own if you don't want to use the stencil, and a piece of burlap, and you will also need some red and black acrylic paint. So the very first thing that I am doing is painting the piece of wood with the red paint. I wanted to give it a good amount of coverage, but I still want that wood to show through a little bit, to kind of give it that really rustic barn look. When I close my eyes, know that you're the only thing I see, and it makes me. Once my piece of wood was painted and dry, I cut out the burlap to fit. I want it to be a little bit shorter and not as high and not as wide as the piece of wood. I wanted some of that red to show on the sides. Then I fringe it on all the sides. Let me know down below if you have been enjoying my Valentine's DIYs. I have taken a bit of a different approach this year, different style, and I am really enjoying the style that I chose for this year. It's definitely not as bright pink or red Valentine's. It's more softer, rustic look that I'm going for. So let me know down in the comments if you've been enjoying it, and if you haven't had a chance to watch any of them, I will link the Valentine's Day playlist to my at the end there for you to go right after you watch this video. So as you can see, I've cut the love stencil so it goes straight, not one underneath the other, and I'm just taping it up to the burlap so it doesn't move when I use my white acrylic paint, which I forgot to mention that I'm using, and I'm just dabbing it on, like sponging it on with my sponge paintbrush. Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile? Didn't I make you feel like you were happy for a while? As we're sitting here in silence, all I'm hearing is the rain. Don't mean to be so quiet. Now, because there is not a lot of paint there, it does not need time to dry, so I just hot glue it to the piece of wood. And to finish it, if you happen to have nice finishing nails, you can totally add them here, but all I'm doing is adding black circles to each corner of the burlap, and it does give it that finishing nail look that I was going for. I absolutely love the way this piece turned out, and it looks amazing at the bottom tray of my big tier tray. For my next project, I cut up a piece of MDF sign that I had from a different project, and I just cut them up into these 3 little pieces, and then I drilled a hole in the middle so I can put some rope or ribbon through it. You will also need some red, black, and gray paint. Now, unfortunately, I did not have gray paint. I had silver paint, but that wouldn't work, so I just made my own dark gray paint by mixing black and white. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. Like I said, my name is Sonja, and this is my DIY channel. I also have a home channel and a cooking channel, and I will link the links to those channels down in the description box. And make sure you check out my Instagram as well if you're not following along. You will not be disappointed. I post lots of different things over on Instagram, lots of peeks into what's happened and what's coming up, and a lot of what's happening at the moment. And if you're not part of my YouTube family, I would love it if you considered subscribing and pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. So as you can see, I have painted each of these pieces of wood in a different color. I let these dry completely before I move on the next step. I know I have to close that door, be the man that I want. Once I was sure that they were completely dry, I am trying to figure out which of these white pens would work. I have a premium water-based pen, and then I have a glass pen and a chalk pen. And I ended up deciding that the best pen for the job would be the water-based premium pens. So I am going to use that one. I got that one at Michael's. I will try and leave a link down in the description box if I can find it online. And as you saw, I was doing a little testing on the side of this board just because I didn't want it to go over top and start writing and then having to write over it. I add different love notes to each one of them. And first I just go with just writing, and then I go over it to thicken up the lines. My mind is filled with pictures of when we used to dance, but now I don't know where you are. I miss you so bad, won't you come back to me? I've got you in my head, you're all that I see. I've lost all my chances, I know that I am too late. I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking of you, wondering if you're thinking about me too. Now it's too late, now it's too late. I'm out of time, but I'm still thinking of you. My heart keeps on bleeding. With this red one, I did make a little mistakes, and it was an easy fix. I just painted over it and let it dry again before I wrote it out again. I always run out of space. So much better. I miss you so bad, won't you come back to me? I've got you in my head, you're all that I see. I've lost all my chances, I know that I am too late. I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking of you, wondering if you're thinking about me too. Now it's too late, I know it's too late. I'm out of time, but I'm still thinking of you.
should do. I wish you would be right here with me. I'm thinking of you, thinking of you, I'm thinking of you, wondering if you're thinking about me too. Now it's too late.
Last thing I do is I just add a piece of a rope to the top of each one of them. I think these turned out really cute and they look amazing on top of my tier tray. And the red one adds that punch of color. This project was super easy to make. I used a ceramic tile and I used a premium water-based black marker to do the writing, and I just wrote a note on it. Now you can also use your Cricut to cut out the letters, but I just wanted to show you that you can simply just take your time and write it out yourself. It turns out just as good in my opinion. But if you want to make it easier on yourself, the Cricut machine works great.
What can you do when you're head over heels in love? No need to fight, but it's keeping her up all through the night.
I love adding these little tiles with different sayings onto my tier tray. It's a perfect size and it fits perfectly in the middle of my tier tray. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I am sharing some dollar store DIYs. These are DIY minis that would be great for your tier tray or just any tray decorating. I am using tons of wood supplies that come from Dollar Tree, Dollarama, or your dollar store and more. And I'm also using a terracotta pot with some rope. So these are extremely easy to make, very budget friendly, and I think are great addition to your trays. And I am going with a bee theme. So for the very first one, I have this little birdhouse that I picked up at Dollarama for $1.25, and I just give it a really nice coat of yellow paint, and then I accent just a couple different areas with some black, and I think this totally gives you those bee feels and bee vibes. And I also want to mention that this video is part of a monthly hop that I am hosting, and for this month the theme was dollar store, and I had invited a whole bunch of very talented DIYers to join me. So there will be a link for you to hop on over to the next person, and the way the hop works is eventually you'll end up coming back to me. So make sure you head on over to the description box where you will find the link. The next one, I had picked up this barrel from your dollar store and more, or with more, and again I am painting it with yellow and black, and I thought this barrel would look really nice with some greenery in it, sitting on a tray. And if this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. I would love it if you considered subscribing, pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. I share tons of different dollar store DIYs, as well as some furniture upcycles and thrift store makeovers. So make sure that notification bell is on so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Now I am moving to these round circles that had come from Dollarama, and I'm painting one with black and one with white. And once they had dried, I start with the black one, with the white one, and I'm going to be using a stencil that I got at Stockade. It is a local store in a town in Guelph, which is near me, and you can order stuff online, so I will have the link in the description box for you to check out. So I'm using my buffalo check stencil to stencil the pattern, and I'm using black to stencil the pattern on with. You could also use that buffalo check fabric that comes from Dollar Tree. I think that would look great as well. I unfortunately ran out of it, so I am doing the pattern. The stencil. And then I paint a circle that I traced from the mason jar lid on it, and then once that had dried, I just draw a bee. And I'm using a water-based marker that came from Michael's. I think this is such a cute sign, and I love the yellow, because I think, well, most of my summer decor has a ton of yellow, so this goes really well with my decor. Now, when I finished doing the bee, I felt like this needed some sort of a border, so I just take the same marker and I just draw somewhat of a same thickness border all the way around. And I think this just made the piece look more put together or complete. Now moving on to the black one. This is very simple. I started off with my white water-based marker, but I always feel that these aren't bright enough, so I end up going over it with my chalkboard marker in white. But before I do that, I just fill in the bee with some yellow and black. This is very simple. You can use your Cricut to make the letters, but I just went ahead and just wrote them out, and I think it's simple but great looking for those fillers on your trays. Now this one, I'm sure you guys have seen it. Tons of people are doing it. I am making a beehive, and I am just using some twine to wrap it around. I think another one of those nautical ropes would look really good to wrap around as well, and a thicker jute rope would look good too. I only have the twine right now, so that's what I'm using, and you just want to wrap it around, make it as tight as you can all the way through the pot. I am using terracotta pot. You can use any pot you really have, or a vase, or anything that kind of somewhat resembles a beehive. If you are enjoying my video so far, make sure you hit that like button. It helps me out a lot by letting me know that you guys enjoy these type of videos. And don't forget to leave a comment once you are finished, letting me know which one was your favorite. Make sure you make some form of a point on your pot if it doesn't have it, so because you want it to have a bit of a point. So I put tons of glue there, and then I am just going to pull it out a little bit just to lift it up. Once you are done lifting up, don't forget to add a little circle in the middle. I've been wanting to make this one for a while and I think it looks so cute. Now I am making some more wood signs, and for this one I am using the rectangular ones that came from Dollarama. There was like a pack of, I don't even know how many, but and I'm using this buffalo check ribbon from Michael's that I picked up a while back, and as you can see, I've painted the little wood piece with black acrylic paint. I make a bow and then I hot glue the bow down, and then I just use my markers to write stuff on it. Another cute and simple filler sign. Now this one I have picked up the set of these hexagon wood shapes from, I think this was from your dollar store or with more, and I am painting a border with black acrylic paint, and but only on the outside. I just really wanted that to be kind of stand out, and yeah, just pretty much the border to make it kind of pop and stand out. And then I'm going to paint the middle with the yellow acrylic paint as well as the sides. Now because I'm doing it right after, some of the black does pull in a little bit, and I'm okay with that. I think it just makes it look a little bit on a rustic side. And once this has completely dried, I take my black water based marker and I just draw some honeycombs in it. I do color them in, and then once that's done, I wanted to write with some thinner point marker, but none of them were working for me, so I actually ended up taking just a black pen, and that seemed to have worked for the top, where I just say be sweet like, and then honey I write with the thick marker. Now I dug back into my scrapbooking stash and I took this bee stamp that I've had. It's a wooden stamp, and I just put some of that water-based marker on it and stamped it on, and this looked really, really good, I think. Now I wanted to make another stamped bee sign, so this one I am keeping very simple, and I am just going to stamp this on again, same technique, and then I am going to just write buzz on it. I am loving this stamp so much, so here is one more, and this one I have to say it's probably my least favorite, just simply because it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to with the writing. I probably should have just stuck to the black marker writing, but I wanted to write with white and none of them were really showing, and because I wanted it to be thinner letters, not so thick, the chalkboard marker didn't really work. So I went and I used my wet pencil, watermark pencil, I think that's what they're called, but that worked the best, but it still wasn't where exactly I wanted it to be. So then I went ahead and just traced those letters with the black marker, and then just use my yellow permanent marker to draw on just another honeycomb. I think the sign is cute. It's just not quite exactly what I wanted it to be. And I have to say, this one was one of my favorites. So I am using some leftover drop cloth material that I've had. This is in like canvas style material. I picked this up at Dollarama a while back, and I've made several pillows with it already. So I am making a mini pillow for my tray and using a hot glue gun to glue the pillow together. And then before I stuff the pillow, I do turn it inside out, or the right side in, I guess, because you want it to be inside out when you're gluing it. I use a pencil or the end of a brush to push the corners out, and then I just take my marker and just write sweet on it and draw a bee. This was so simple to make, and it looks so cute on my tray. And then once I have finished drawing the bee on, I just stuff it with some pillow stuffing that I have on hand, that I had saved from old pillows, and just hot glue it together. And you want to turn the ends in and then glue it together. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you some super easy coastal DIYs that you can use to decorate your tier trays. So I'm starting off with these, we call them Muskoka chairs, but they're also called either round deck chairs, and I picked those up at a local supplier for, I think they were two for $1.20. I will link it down below. I'm pretty sure you can find some of them at dollar stores as well. This was just a little bit easier to get. So I give them a coat of white acrylic paint. I also want to mention that this video is part of my monthly challenge that I host every month, and it is the theme for this month was coastal DIYs, and you could have used dollar store or any other source for your supplies. So make sure you check out the playlist, which will be linked down below, to see what everybody else created for this theme. I will be taking a break over the month of July from this challenge, but we'll be returning with some fall DIY challenge in August. So make sure you tune in for that. So once I finished painting these Muskoka chairs, I set them aside, and now I moved on to a project number 2 that was part of the project number 1 as well, and I will be making mini pillows to go onto the chairs. So I have this material that I'm still working through. It is a canvas that I picked up at a dollar store. It was a drop sheet canvas, and I am just cutting it in these two pieces in half to create pillows that will go to the back. I have been loving creating these mini pillows for my tier tray. I did one for my bee decor, and it just looks so cute and gives the tier tray a different texture and a bit of a different style of decorating, but I love it. So once I had cut these in half, I will be hot gluing the 3 sides, and then I will be stuffing it with some stuffing. And you don't need a lot of it because the pillow is fairly small. So before you stuff it, you want to turn little pillows inside out or right side in, so that way you don't see any of the leftover pieces on the edges that you had glued around. I am using just the back of a paintbrush just to push out the corners. This was a little bit hard because it's such a tiny pillow. And then I proceeded to stuffing them, and typically I would fold the ends in and then hot glue them together, but because this was so tiny, I have just hot glued the ends together, but I used some of these clips just to hold it together while I was gluing. So at that same supplier that I picked up the Muskoka chairs, I had picked up these tiny little nautical wood pieces, and there is a sailboat, a lighthouse, and an anchor. And I will be painting the lighthouse in red, the sailboat in like coastal blue, and then the anchor in white. Once they were dried, I used crafting tweezers to pick them up, add glue, and then I glued them on to the pillows. I would like to apologize for the bird noises and nature noises in the background. We had a flood in our kitchen, and I have huge fans from the contractor here to dry everything off, so I have to move outside to record the voiceover. I hope you can understand. I think these turned out so cute, and they're definitely going to be a conversation pieces at a gathering because they look so cute. My next project, I have these mini clay pots. I was going to use 4, then decided just to use 3, and I will be making a buoy. So the way I make this is I start by gluing these together. So I'm also showing you that I will be using this snowflake. You could use styrofoam. I hate the way styrofoam sounds, and I didn't have anybody here to cut styrofoam pieces for me. So I'm using this thick snowflake, and I will be tracing it a circle around. I will be drawing a circle and then cutting it out, and that will be my bottom piece. It is nice and thick, so it will work just as good and give me that same look as the styrofoam would as well. So now it's time to paint it, and I am painting the big part of it with white acrylic paint, and then I'm going to be adding a light blue and a darker blue stripes with some white in the middle. And then I will be adding some gray paint, just light gray paint, to the top of it. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. My name is Sonja, and you are watching my DIY channel. I host a challenge like this, like I said, once a month, where I invite the creators to join me and share their DIYs. I typically have a theme whether it's a theme of what to make or what type of materials to use. If, like I said, if you're not subscribed, I would love it if you consider subscribing, pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. I do Dollar Tree DIYs often, as well as some furniture makeovers and thrift store upcycles. So make sure that notification bell is on so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. I also have several other channels. If you want to visit those, they are linked in the description box. So once my clay pots have dried, I glue them to that round foam piece, and then I also glue just a piece of rope on top. I think this is such a great piece to add to my tier tray. It has the coastal colors that I'm using to decorate it with. So now I'm moving on to this very simple DIY. I've had this lantern since Christmas, and I've been just moving it around, not sure what to do with it. And then I came across, while searching for some coastal decor, I came across a lantern that was painted in this coastal light blue color. Well, that one was probably an antique that was in that color, but I absolutely loved it, and I thought, well, I have a lantern that I can recreate this and give it some new life and actually use it. And this is what I did. Like I said, very simple $1.25 DIY. I did leave some of that black to show through to make the lantern look a little bit aged and antiqued. Another great DIY that will add so much texture to your tray or to any decor is I'm using these votive candles. This is my last one that I have. I used some in my last coastal DIY, and I'm using some of this nautical rope and this anchor as well that came from that supplier. I paint this anchor white and let it dry, and while the anchor is drying, I proceed on gluing this nautical rope around the votive tea light candle holder. I love using nautical rope, not just for coastal decor, but for really any. I think it's a great DIY material to use for fall as well as Christmas, and sometimes even in your winter decor that's not Christmas, it looks good as well. So once I wrapped it all around, I take my anchor and just glue it on. I think this is like another very simple DIY, and that's gonna look great on your tier tray. Now I'm making some sign. I had this a piece of wood that I used for a long time for a different DIY, and it was stained gray. So I just took some leftover paint on the brush that had some white and some of that blue on it from painting the buoy, and I just dry brushed it on, and it gave it lots of different colors, a little bit of white and a little bit of blue and a little bit of gray. And then I just took my marker and wrote "Life is better" in flip-flops. Like, this is such an easy DIY to create fillers for your tray. Another one is also a sign, and this one I am using my live edge wood that I picked up at your dollar store with more, and then I just write beach on it. Now this blue was a little bit brighter than I wanted it to be, so I end up sanding it down and also dry brushing some white acrylic paint over it just to soften it up. I like how cloudy the blue had made it because I didn't wait for the marker to dry completely, so I would pull it through while sanding it. And now I'm going to create a little crab sign. I am using this hexagon wood that this set had come from um, I want to say Dollar Tree, but it might have been from Dollarama as well. And then I also have the crab from that supplier that all the other nautical stuff came. And I'm painting stripes to make it look a little bit like shiplap. I'm not looking for perfect lines. I am just wanting some of that raw wood to show through because I think it gives it that shiplap look. Then I take my walnut gel stain and I just stain the little crab with a rag. And then once it's, it didn't take long to dry, and I just hot glue it to the sign. So simple and yet looks absolutely stunning, I think, in my opinion. The stripes did make the little hexagon look like it was shiplap, and by staining the crab, it just makes it pop out. Well, here is how I decorated my tier tray, and I absolutely love it. I think it's such a fun tray, and it has so many different unique pieces on there, and I barely spent any money in creating these. I think all of it definitely came under $15. Hi guys, and welcome. Today I'm making some pretty fun and amazing easy DIYs for your tier tray. They're fall DIYs, so let's get started. For the very first one, I'm using a scrap piece of wood and a printout that I printed out wrong for a different DIY, but I kept it because I figured I could use it for something else. And sure enough, here I am using it now. And this was so easy. So you just printed it out and cut it out to size and Mod Podged it onto the scrap piece of wood. I love the way this turned out. I think it looked really good on top of a tier tray. And I would love to know if you agree. I would also like to mention that this video is part of my monthly DIY challenge that I've been hosting every month this year except in July, and where I asked many of my friends to join in, well, whoever wants to join in creating a fall DIY. I did not have a specific supply store that they had to go to. It was just to create fun fall DIYs. So there will be a playlist in the description box for you to check out where all my friends have joined, and we are giving you tons of DIY ideas. For my next two DIYs, I am making a ladder, and I'm using these round dowels. They're very thin, they came from Dollarama, and I'm using two different sizes. Two of them are the longer ones, and then the other ones are about half the size of the long ones. And I'm just measuring out to create a ladder that's kind of a little bit wider. Now, I was debating whether I should paint this as well, but I just ended up leaving it natural color because I thought that I could even use it for many other seasons, not just fall. And I'm using hot glue to hot glue the sides. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, my name is Sonja, And I'm so glad that you decided to press that play button and watch this video. If you're not subscribed, I would love it if you consider subscribing and becoming part of my YouTube family. We create lots of fun, budget-friendly DIYs on this channel, and there's a lot to choose from. So now that the ladder is done, I am using these tiny bead garland that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I think, yes, at Dollar Tree, and I'm just creating a small wreath with it. And this is where I think it would be fun that you can use it for different seasons, because you can just add different seasonal wreath to it. And I'm just using a little tiny piece of it to wrap around to keep it in place, so that way I can easily interchange it. Another very easy DIY are these pine cones that had come from Dollar Tree, and they're shiny silver and shiny bronze, so I decided to spray paint them using black and white chalk paint. This is a very easy way to create these to fit more your style. Maybe your style is silver and bronze and you don't have to do anything, but I don't have too much of silver and bronze in my fall decor, but I do have lots of black and white. And for the white one, I did do a lighter coat just so some of that bronze shows through. Next one is another 2 DIYs. I've picked up these pumpkins. I don't know how many I have picked up, and my dog finds them all the time and tries to chew on them. So I better start working on them and DIYing with them, so he doesn't have a chance to find them and chew on them. So for the first one, I am using a very light bluish gray color from it's chalk paint, and I'm just covering the whole pumpkin with it. And the other one I was painting with just a black acrylic paint. You could also use chalk paint if you have a black chalk paint. They both covered this pumpkin really well, the chalk paint and the acrylic paint. Once I was done painting the pumpkins, I took that acrylic paint and just splattered it all over the blue chalky paint, just to give it some speckles. And I love how simple this DIY was and how great it looked. If you've been here for a while, you know I love creating pillows. I still have lots of scraps of this drop cloth that I purchased at a dollar store. So I'm creating a little mini pumpkin pillow. And I'm using hot glue to glue the sides. This time around, however, I am not doing it inside out. I am hot gluing it like just right there, so that way I can create a bit of a border for this pillow, because you'll see what I'm going to be doing with it. And then once that was cured, the hot glue was curing, I just wrote out Hello Pumpkin with a permanent marker, and then I stuffed it with some of my stuffing that I've had left over. I took apart an old pillow, and then I just added a little bit of hot glue to the end there, just to keep it in place. And now I'm going to take that border that's left and fringe it. If you don't know what fringing is, I'm sure you do, but if you don't, you just pull I'm just pulling out any loose threads out and making it look pretty on the edges, or that fringed look. I just love the way I feel like the fringing took this pillow to the next level. Let me know if you agree. Another DIY that I love making is bead garlands, and I've had these wooden beads that I've purchased long time ago, and for the life of me couldn't find for a very long time. But then when I was redoing my playroom, I did find them. My craft room, I did find them. So I just picked out kind of a reddish brownish beads and the cream colored ones, and I was debating whether I should paint it, but decided to just leave them as they are because I think they do look great for fall, but at the same time I think I could use it for Christmas as well. And I'm just grouping them by two colors, starting with one first. Some of the wood beads were closed in, just a little bit on the outs, like on the ends. So I just use my scissors to push it through, and I'm just using actually kitchen twine as the rope to thread it through. Now I did end up putting a little tiny piece of tape on the end of the twine and just wrapped it around just so it doesn't fringe on me when I'm threading it through. And then I cut the size, and then I took the same rope and wrapped it around my fingers 20 times, and then I tied that loop up to the end that I left out, and then I cut that open. And now I'm taking another piece of rope and just tying it up, kind of creating almost like a head for the little tassel at the end, and then just trimmed it to the length that I wanted it to be, and I repeated the same process on the other side. This is not a very long garland, but it was gonna look great just drooping off of a tray, one of the trays on my tier tray. Now this last DIY, I absolutely love the way it turned out. I'm using this little red truck that I got last year for around Christmas time, and these boxes actually came from Michael's. I love these little boxes. You can definitely use either side. You can use the inside as a frame or the back of it. Now these trucks had a little bit of sparkle right around the tires, so I'm just scraping it off because I didn't want any sparkles on there. And for the wood box, I just give it a light coat of white chalk paint, just dry brushing it on. This took no time to dry because there was not a lot of paint there. And I just blended it in with a little bit of a rag, hot glued the truck on, and then I'm using a permanent marker just to write down hello fall. And then I'm gonna use an orange permanent marker just to draw on some pumpkins. I just love how this little red truck turned out, and I was super happy that I could create a fall DIY with a little red truck for my tier tray. I had so much fun decorating this tier tray with all the little DIYs that I've created. I would love to know which one was your favorite, and hi guys, today we are sharing with you something a little different. I will be not only creating tier tray DIYs, but I will also be creating a tier tray. Tier tray are great for decor pieces for all year round. I will be decorating it for fall just to show you how I'm using some of the DIYs that I'm creating and that I have created. So for this tier tray, I had picked up these artist panels. Now these had come from Dollarama. I'm not sure if Dollar Tree carries them. I know that the ones in our area don't, but I've seen people use them, so I assume that there are some available at Dollar Tree elsewhere. And I'm also going to be using this vase that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I loved the shape of this and the height of it, and I thought it would be absolutely perfect for this tray. So the first thing that I was going to be doing is obviously removing the little covers on them and painting everything with Annie Sloan Old White or original chalk paint. You can use any chalk paint or any color you wish. This is the color that I have chosen for my project because it would fit my decor best. I thought I'd share with you today a little something that you can use all year round. I think we have been focusing so much on creating fall DIYs, which are great. We all need some fall decor in our lives, but I thought today I do one extra thing and create a decor piece that you can use all year round in your house. And if you know me, if you've been following me all along, I love tier trays. I love decorating tier trays. I just finished decorating several of them over on my home channel. If you want to check that out, link is in the bio. And but I just love having tier trays everywhere. So I felt that I needed another one. And if this is your first time stopping by my channel, hello, welcome. My name is Sonja, and this is my DIY channel, and I hope you enjoy what you see. I hope you decide to become part of my YouTube family. I think we are having lots of fun. Right now creating tons of fall DIYs, and then we're going to be moving into Christmas, sprinkle in with some home decor DIYs as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out. And if you are a returning subscriber, you know I appreciate you so much for your continuing support. So once I had painted and they had time to dry, I had dry brushed some black acrylic paint, and then I had sanded it down as you saw because I wanted to age it a little bit and make it look a little rustic. And then I proceeded on trying to figure out where exactly I wanted the vase to be glued on. You can use permanent glue, or I used hot glue just because it works immediately, but you can mix the both as well if that's what you want to do. So once I figured out where exactly I wanted this, I added a lot of hot glue to the bottom and then just to the top, making sure there was nothing on there, and adding, like I said, tons of glue on top as well, and then just do my best to center the top part on it. And once that had dried, it was voila. It's all done, and I love the way this turned out. It's nice and small. It can fit into smaller places, and I can't wait to decorate. Make sure you stay tuned till the end of the video where I will share with you how I decorated it. For now, to create couple DIY pieces for this tray, I had picked up this sign at Dollar Tree. It's a pumpkin wood shape, and it had lots of glitter on it, which I had mentioned before. I'm not an overly huge fan of glitter. However, I did love the way this writing and the saying was. So I did this technique in my about 2 videos ago where I paint over it, and then I try and trace over the letters that were already there. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So once I had removed all the glitter, and by the way, this scraping tool works great. I picked it up at a dollar store with more or and more store, but I'm sure you can find it pretty much anywhere, Walmart too, and even Home Depot if your dollar store doesn't carry it. So I gave this a light coat of white paint. So I wanted some of that orange to show through a little bit. And then as you can see, you can still see a little bit of writing. So I went over it. Now I should have used a bit of a thinner tip marker, but my thinner tip marker had dried out. I did not realize that. So I went ahead and used this one. I do feel that it was a little too thick. The thinner tip would have worked better, but I'm still quite happy with the way this worked out. I am just tracing the letters. I did not trace the leaves and the pumpkins that were on there as well. Like I said, I think this looked much better than with all that glitter on it. And then once this had time to dry completely, I ended up sanding the whole thing down a little bit. But before I sanded it, I did take the black marker and just added some of the rustiness to it by just rubbing it onto the edges of the wood, just to give that antique look a little bit. I think these signs are so great to use for just like creating your own decor on it, because they are a perfect shape for fall, and you can do so many things with it. You can add pictures, you can add your own writing, you can add just paint them. Like, there are so many ways to use these, and they're already, like I said, cut out, and all you have to do is put your own touch to them. So make sure, like I said, to stay till the end to see how I'm using this one on my tier tray. For next one, I am so pleased with the way this turned out. I am using the little tin cans or galvanized cans that are part of the, I think they come in a set of 3. You can usually find them in with the greeting cards because they're for bombonieres for the wedding. I'm also using these wooden stir sticks, and I'm just measuring them to fit on top of this can, and I will be cutting them all down to fit, and then once I have them all cut, I will be gluing them on to just around this tin can. So I think you're kind of getting an idea as to what I'm going to be making. But if you're not, I'm going to be making a mini apple barrel. It took about I think it took me about 22 sticks to cut, and I did 2 ends per stick. So just to kind of give you an idea. Well, actually it took 22 ends, so it actually was probably 11 sticks, not 22 sticks. And then I just hot glued them to it, trying to keep it somewhat of a straight line and not burning my fingers. Once it was all done, I was contemplating about staining it, but I just left it as is. And just an FYI, right around the handle part, I did cut the stick a little bit shorter just so it fits. Then I took some rope and I just tied it all the way around just to give it a little bit of a design element, I guess. I think some of the apple barrels do have like another piece of wood going around, so I think I was just trying to recreate that, and it kept the sticks in place for curing as well. Now, I did not paint the inside. You totally could, but I figured I'm going to be adding stuff to it, so you're not going to be able to see it. However, the handle needed something to it, so I just took some rope, tied it to the end, and then just wrapped the whole handle all the way around with rope, just by adding glue here and there. And again, just be very careful not to burn yourself. I am notorious to burn myself. I have silicone finger covers and all that stuff, but just like gardening gloves, I do not like using them. Once I got to the end, I just tied it up and glued it on again just to keep it in place. And I do love the way this turned out. I think it's so cute, such a mini, nice, cute little barrel. Don't forget to snip any long pieces sticking out. And here it is, decorated with some of those mini pumpkins from Dollar Tree. And like I said, stay tuned till the end to see how I decorate the tier tray with it. Speaking of those mini pumpkins, I am going to be creating a tassel, not a tassel, one of those, I guess it's like a garland, but for a mini tier tray. I don't know what they're called. I think they're called garlands. And it took me several attempts to figure out how I wanted it, but then figured that this was probably the easiest way to do it, is just by tying the rope to the stem of each pumpkin and then just wrapping the leftover rope around the stem, gluing it on. And I've tried by poking a hole and threading it through, but I did not like the way that looked. So, and then I also tried by just wrapping the rope around the stem and hot gluing it to the end of the pumpkin, but did not love that look either. So this was the best way that I thought. I liked the way it looked. So, like I said, I'm just wrapping the rope to the stem and then wrapping it around the stem, and then just alternating the colors of the pumpkins. First I was cutting the pieces, but then I figured I can just probably do it just by wrapping it around. Don't need to cut each rope piece. I did also think that I wanted to add a tassel to the end once I was finished adding all the pumpkins. And I'm going to show you, I did try to do that, but did not love the way that looked. And if you, I think the easiest ways to make a tassel is by wrapping some rope around your fingers and then tying it up and then just cutting it. So you tie the rope in the middle and then just cut the ends to open them up. I've done several different of these garlands with tassels at the end. You can check the playlist. I think there's even in a fall one as well. But and I love the way that looks, but I did not love the way that looked on this particular one. So I just ended up cutting it off, and my camera died, so I ended up switching cameras. But I ended up cutting it off and just not having actually anything at the end. I love the way this turned out. I think it definitely has that high-end look without breaking the bank. I think this cost me $2.50, if that. So here is my tray all decorated. I love the way this looks. I think it's so fallish looking with all the different colors, and it has that little bit of a rustic feel with the traditional look. This is part 1. I will have another video coming up on Tuesday as well as part 2, and then there will be a decorating video on a home channel. So the first thing that I did, I had one of these bottles left over from a maple syrup, and I loved the shape of the bottle, so I kept it, and so now it's time to use it. I spray painted it with a chalky finish spray paint. Then while it was drying, I printed out an image. I will have any free printables that I have found linked in the description box for you. And I cut that image out, Mod Podged it on, and voila, this was almost free. And I absolutely love the way it turned out. And it's like one of those, scary witch potions. I did apply another layer of Mod Podge on top just so it stays on pretty good and doesn't come off. So this is Sanderson Sisters Love Potion. And I absolutely love the way it turned out. Next one, I had this pumpkin that the top fell apart, and I needed a pumpkin with a big opening on top and bottom. So I decided to recycle this, reuse this pumpkin again. It is one of those orange pumpkins from Dollar Tree. Last year I created a DIY for it, but like I said, it kind of fell apart on me. So I spray painted with chalky finish. Fun fact, this chalky finish from Michael's, this spray paint did not make the styrofoam pumpkin go all weird. So it stayed and it kept its shape. Then I used my white chalk marker and just wrote out spooky. I absolutely love the way this turned out, and you will see at the end why I needed it to have the big opening on top, and then I just made a bigger opening on the bottom. So another spray painted DIY for one of these pumpkins, but then you'll see what I'll do for the other two pumpkins. So the first one I spray painted black with the same spray paint. I also want to mention, like I mentioned at the beginning, that this is part of my DIY challenge. So there will be a playlist linked in the description box for creators to add their video, and then also a playlist for you to watch everybody else joining me. So make sure you do that when you finish watching this one. So once the spray painted pumpkin dried, I ended up just adding some circles, white circles or dots all over it. Some are bigger, some are smaller. I absolutely love the way this pumpkin turned out, and I've seen it all over Pinterest. Not sure where it comes from, but I love when people use them on tier trays. So the other two, and I picked these pumpkins up at Dollarama. It was a package of 3. So the other two I decided to paint. The one I painted with white chalk paint, and then the other one I will be painting with the black acrylic paint. Now you want these to almost fully dry before you do any other design, which you will see in a minute. So once they were dry enough to handle, I ended up adding white stripes to the black one, and I'm just adding the stripes into the little grooves of the pumpkin. And the reason why I didn't want it to dry completely, it was just easier to blend it in. And then I also, once I was done painting the stripes, so for the white one, I'm going with the black stripes. I also paint the middle completely, and then I went ahead and painted the stems. So over on my lifestyle channel, I talked about the style of decorating. I was debating whether I was going to even make any of the Halloween decorations. My kids are in the stage of their life where they don't think decorating pumpkins is a decorating for Halloween is a thing. But I still wanted to do a little bit, so I decided to do the tier trays. Let me know down below if you decorate for Halloween. Do you go more cute or more scary? I would love to know. So for my So you just saw the finished product of the pumpkins, and then I proceeded on making a little sign. So I'm just taping off the inside because I will be painting the sign on the sides and the sides on the inside and sides on the outside with the black acrylic paint. And then once I painted the whole thing, I went ahead and removed the tape immediately. And then I painted the inside with white acrylic paint. Now this did need about 2 coats, and you want to dry a little, let it dry in between the coats. And if you mess up a little bit, you can just fill in with the black marker or go over the white paint that you messed up. And then I just wrote 31 with my marker on and drew some spiders. I'm just checking exactly to get the image right that I saw on Pinterest. So then I wrote October onto the 3 with a white pencil. This is worked out okay. It was a little tiny to write on, but it did work out okay. And then I drew some cobwebs just using a pencil. I just figured this would probably be the easiest way to do this. And I just love how cute this sign is, and I think it's gonna look spectacular over on my tier tray. So speaking of tier trays, I will have a decorating video where I'll share all my tips and tricks on how I decorate tier trays over on my home channel on Wednesday. So make sure you head on over to watch that. So now I am working on another project, and this one, these round discs came from Dollar Tree. I had one left over. It's like a set of 5 or something like that. And I painted it with white acrylic paint. I gave it 2 coats, and now I am just drawing on a face, which I'm sure you already recognize who it is. It is one of my favorite characters, Jack Skellington. I absolutely love Jack. I wish I had more decorations for including him. I'm slowly collecting them, was planning on getting some more over in Disney World, but one day when I go again, I for sure will. So, and then I gave him a little border, just using the marker and just edging it on the ends here. I love how cute he turned out. Do you guys watch Halloween movies? I do, but not the scary ones. Now, let me know. Do you think Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie? Or is it both? What do you think? So the next one, now, if you're a Disney fan, you know exactly what sign I will be making. I hope you do anyways. I think it looks just like it. So, but to make the sign, I went and I painted the arrow with a watered down brown paint. This almost made it like a stain. And then once it was once I was done painting, I just took the excess paint off with a rag. And then once it was fully dry, I used this weathered wood crackling medium, and I just brushed it on where I wanted the next paint to crack. This could have worked better, but I don't mind the way it worked, but I just wish it was the cracks were a little bit bigger. So once that had fully dried and you want it to be 100% dry, I added some acrylic paint to it, edged it around while the paint was still drying with a black chalkboard marker. And then once the paint was fully dried, I thought I was going to use my purple permanent marker to write on it, but ended up changing my mind and doing a lavender color paint because it was the only purple paint I had. So I ended up darkening it up with some black paint as well. I just thought that the lavender paint was very thin. Now this brush that I'm using is extremely fine tip brush, and it's almost stiff, which I think makes it easier for me to actually do the writing. I always struggle to write with paintbrushes, but this one worked really well. So let me know, do you know where you can find this sign in Disney World? And if you know, do you love the ride? It is my favorite one. My husband does not like it at all. I absolutely love it. It's funny how that always works out. I would think he would like it since he's afraid of roller coasters, but no, he does not love it. So, at this point, the crackling had started, but I ended up adding some lines to it as well, just so it looks even more cracked. So I love the way the sign turned out. I think it's going to be a great addition to my large tier tray. And then for next two, I had this mug that I picked up at Dollarama a while back, and I just used my chalkboard marker to write boo on it. I've seen these, and I'm sure you might have caught them at the beginning. I just love the way these look. And then for this cauldron, I actually picked up at Michael's for 50% off. So I think it was like $2 or something like that. And I just wrote eek on it. And again, this was an inspiration from the Pinterest, one of the trays, which all of these were anyway. But I just love the way these look. I think filled up with some candy or some vase fillers, they will look really nice. Now the next one, I had this plaque left over from, it was a set of 3 that I had thrifted a while back, and I am just painting it with a light white just so it covers up the design so it doesn't show through. Not sure that I even had to do this, but once I started it, I just went ahead and finished it, and then just took off the paint on the edge because I wanted the edge to be there, not to be painted. And I had found this printout on Pinterest as well and cut it up to size. Again, this is Hocus Pocus based. So a lot of Disney inspired DIYs here for sure. And on Tuesday, when I share another video for these type of DIYs, it will be another kind of a Disney inspired, but it will be even more cutesy. I find this one's more spookier, if you can call it spooky, but I'll call these DIYs spookier than the ones on Tuesday. So make sure you are subscribed and your notification bell is on so you don't miss out my future uploads, and especially the Tuesday one if you enjoyed this one. And don't forget to stop by my home channel on Wednesday to check out the tier tray decorating video, and that is a collaboration, so there's going to be tons of other videos in the playlist as well. So once I had the image cut up, I just used some Mod Podge, put it on the bottom, put the image on top, and then added the Mod Podge to it. On top, you just want to make sure that all the bubbles are out. You want to even wait a little bit in between the Mod Podges. That way there's no bubbling up. I think this sign is so cute, and I don't think it even cost me 50 cents to make it. Just love that part. And then this one is a very, very simple one. So I had this Happy Fall You All. I cut it off of another, I think it was one of those signs that have like whole bunch of different areas in it, and I was creating, I think this was from last year, a broom sign. So I cut up a couple of these off, so this one was left over. So I'm just trimming the sides, and then I also wanted to peel some of this stuff off, that way it's just easier to paint. The other side had some stuff on it as well, so I just peeled as much off as I could, and then I painted the whole thing with black acrylic paint. This only took one coat. It did the piece of whatever it is, chipboard, or I think it's even like a cardboard almost piece type of thing, took the paint really well. And once it was dry, I just wrote I Smell Children, which is another Hocus Pocus, but the first one didn't quite work out, so I did it again because I just wanted it to fit in. And then I again just went over it using the chalkboard marker, and then I just edged it just so it has a little edge. It's so simple, and I just absolutely love the way it turned out. I think this is going to be a great piece on top of the tier tray. Well, I hope you had enjoyed these DIY videos. I love the way this tier tray looks. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to check out the playlist, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Well, hello, my friends. So glad you stopped by. Today is a part 2 to my Halloween tier tray decor. If you missed Sunday's one, make sure you head on over to wait till the end because it will be linked at the end of the video. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. So I will be making 10 more Halloween tier tray DIYs. These are great for your tier tray decor or any other tray or any fillers that you might need. So for this one, I had kind of been gathering supplies in a Ziploc bag from all around the house. So you will need some of these small little pumpkins. I think package of 3 is $1.25 at Dollar Tree. And I just painted it with my shade of orange that I had because I wasn't all that happy with the shade of orange than it was. So that is the first step that I did, and once that was painted, I set it aside to dry, and I moved on to creating the body, and I painted half the body with that same orange that I painted the pumpkin. That way they do match, and then the other half I painted with some black acrylic paint, and I really like the way this looks on the body, those two colors together. I got the inspiration for this DIY from Michael's. They actually, did intend to buy one of these guys for my tier tray, but unfortunately I was too late. By the time I went there, they were all sold out. So I decided to make my own. So I did put approximately 2 coats of orange. The black did not need a second coat, but the orange did need a little bit of filling in. So while the body and the head were drying, I ended up making some feet and shoes. I was trying to see if I can find shoes anywhere that I could kind of stick in there, but no luck. So all I'm doing is folding the pipe cleaner in half and then using the folded end and folding it into a shoe. Then I went ahead and painted some of these wood beads black because I needed some black beads and I didn't have any on hand, but I did, however, have tons of these brown ones. So I tried dipping it in, but then it ended up being so thick, so I just ended up painting them and using some of that paint on the bottom of the beads that I dipped in just to take some of it off. And then I let that dry off to a side. So once my head was completely dried, I went ahead and made some arms. Now I'm not showing you the full process because I did end up redoing it. I ended up attaching these arms into the holes from the handle, but I wanted these to be arms, not hair, so you'll see me later on taking them off. But I did end up gluing this hat on. I popped this hat off of a decor piece that I had that I was no longer using, and it fit absolutely perfect on this hat. Then I went ahead and glued some buttons. I have an orange and black button, and then I glued the hat onto it as well. And then but before I glued the head, I did do a little scarf that I cut out of felt. And I just cut it in a wavy form, and then I ended up gluing the head. And this is the point where I realized that I did not like the hands on the head, and I ended up pulling them out and gluing them to the body. Thankfully, I did not glue them. I just stuck them in there and folded. So this was an easy fix. And then I ended up assembling the legs, and I just used some of the cut up straw and those beads, alternating the colors. And I used the clip just to hold it in place. I think this guy turned out so cute, and the legs, you can fold them so they look like they're dangling down, and I just think he's going to be a great addition to my tray. For the next project, I used my Cricut machine, and I actually did purchase a writing some sign. Well, it's not a sign, it's just an SVG to create a sign on Etsy, just because it was inexpensive and, to be quite honest with you, faster than me creating it myself. So I cut it out on just a regular vinyl, and then going to be transferring it to my sign. And for the sign, so for the vinyl is from Cricut, and the transfer tape is the shelf liner from the dollar store. I do love the way that works. So for the frame, I am using some construction paper just in black, and as well as a frame that came from a Dollar Tree. These are their small frames, and then I just traced the inside of the frame onto the construction paper, cut it out, gave it a trim if need be, just so it fits better, and then I had transferred the words onto it, and I think this is such a cute saying, and I think it's gonna go well with the theme of this tier tray. However, the hat did not quite fit onto there, so I just trimmed it off, and then I ended up reapplying it on an angle once I was done transferring the first part. That way I fit it so it fits perfectly on there. And then once that was done, I just assembled the frame back together with the glass, and I used all the backings that came with it except the framed part, just so it's right flushed against the glass, not the mirror. I love making such simple signs because I do find that they're great on trays or just anywhere where you need a sign, and I always feel I need signs in my life. So for the third one, I am going to be using the other two little pumpkins. Not sure if I said that there were 3, but I think there were 4 in a package, and I'm going to paint them with that orange that I had, and then another one will be like a burnt yellow type of color. And I love this yellow color. I think it's so on point with fall. And then once those were fully painted and dried, I ended up gluing them together, and another very simple but very cute DIY. I actually saw a mug that was similar to this style, and that kind of gave me that inspiration to make this. Now I am going to be painting some more pumpkins. If you watched my last video, I did black and white a lot, and now I'm going to do more of the orange and black, as well as some of that yellow, burnt yellow, once I'm finished painting this one white. Now I am giving it a light coat because I'm going to be blending that yellow right in there, and instead of putting it into the big grooves, I am actually into the small grooves. I'm painting the big grooves out. So this, I love the way this pumpkin turned out with all the different colors showing through, and the black and white, the orange and black one is just the color theme of the tray. Another very easy DIY if you don't want to be making gnomes. These came from Dollar Tree, and I love them I bought them for Christmas, but I thought, well, I would like to have one for fall as well. So I had just dressed the hat with some fall fabric, and that was it. I think he will look great on my tray, and he does give you that fall feels, and such an easy, simple DIY, especially if you struggle with making gnomes. I struggle with pronouncing them. Another very easy one is the same pumpkin, and I just cut out some ears. I actually cut them off of the ears Mickey that I had from the set from Michaels, and then I just added a little bit of hot glue to the back so it keeps the ears up. And that's it. Very easy. So you see my theme is kind of going towards the Disney theme again. And this one was another, well, I think they're all fairly simple to make, but this one gave me that Coco movie feels. So I am using these napkins that I picked up at your dollar store with more, and as well as the little crate sign, or is it a palette sign that came from, I think those came from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to be Mod Podging these napkins. I did cut out the border from the stripe one just because the other napkin did not quite fit on there. So I wanted to have a border, and this actually worked out really well. So I'm going to apply Mod Podge on the bottom, glue them on. Then I'm going to Mod Podge the top. I did overlay a little bit, so you want to make sure that you put Mod Podge on the overlays as well. Press it down, push it out. I did rip it a little bit, but I'm going to fix it very quickly. I'm just going to rip off this and Mod Podge it on, and you can't even tell. And then once it was dry, I just trimmed off the edges, cut in the middle, and pushed it in using a ruler. And then that was it. I love the way this sign turned out. Like I said, it totally gives me those cocoa feels, and the coloring is great for the tray theme that I'm going for. This one was a little bit more involved, I guess, just because there was a lot more painting to be done. But I had these triangles left over from my daycare days, and the sticks are just sticks from Dollar Tree. And I am going to be making some candy corn, and I'm going to be gluing it onto those sticks, so they will be great for like if you have a vase or a cup of any sort on your tray, just to put in and add height. Again, like I said, a little bit more involved with the painting, but another very simple DIY. And I use the hot glue to glue them on. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, I would love it if you considered subscribing and pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. I would love to have you be part of my YouTube family. For the last one, I am using the Hippo water slide paper. I had purchased this image off of Etsy shop, and then I had printed it with my inkjet printer, sprayed it with a sealant a couple times, and then let it soak in the water for about 30 seconds, and then I had transferred it. I'm still practicing. I'm still learning how to do this without getting too many bubbles and not ripping it apart. But like I said, I think with each one that I make, I am getting better, and I absolutely love the way this mug turned out. I had thrifted this mug for, I think it was like 50 cents. So this was a very inexpensive DIY, great for gifts as well if you want to make it. Don't forget to bake your mug for about 20 to 30 minutes in an unpreheated oven. So you put it in at the same time you turn your oven on, and let it heat for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then let it cool in the oven with the oven. off. So, and I love the way this turned out, and I can't wait to use it on my tray and with my coffee. And here is a little sample of how I decorated this tray. If you want to get even more ideas, make sure you head on over to my home channel tomorrow, where I will be sharing all of my Halloween tier trays. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know which one was your favorite, and I will see you all in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to check out Sunday's video for even more tier tray DIYs, which will be coming up soon, where you can press on it. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm back with another Christmas in July video, and I am sharing 10 brand new tier tray DIYs, mini DIYs that I'm creating for my tier tray decorating. So for this very first one, I am using this galvanized sign that I have picked up at Dollar Tree just recently, and I'm going to remove this rope because I will not be needing it for this DIY. I will use it for another one. And to make things go a little bit faster, I am spray painting this with a black spray paint in a matte finish, so it's not too shiny. Chalk paint would work as well. And then I use my chalkboard marker from Dollar Tree, and I just trace out an outline for this sign because I think it just adds so much more character to it. And then I'm going to proceed with a writing that I want on here. For my next DIY, I'm using one of these little tin white buckets that came from Dollar Tree. They have them in a pack of 3 or 4, and I'm just want to remove this top, the little handle, because I will not be using it. I'm going to be creating more of a drinking cup from this, so I did not need the little handle on top. And I'm just using my wire cutters to remove this off. I feel like I use my wire cutters for everything. I should really get the proper tools for it all. And then I use my brown acrylic paint just to add some decor to the bottom of it. I wanted to create almost like chocolate dripping. So if you do not know what I'm creating a hot chocolate mug. And that I wanted to look like the hot chocolate was overflowing and dripping down this cup. I think this is going to look cute on a tier tray, especially over in my hot cocoa station that I will be that I always have every year. So I don't forget to also touch up the rim of the little pot. And then the fun part, I fill it up with some mini marshmallows. The nice thing about this is you can just fill it up when you're decorating it, and you can just toss them or eat them once you are done with it. These do hold up pretty well in this cup for the season. I had a different one over in my kitchen tier tray for a couple years now, and I actually hot glued the marshmallows to it, and they seem to just do fine. For my next one, I am using this galvanized believe sign. I've had this in my craft stash from the year before, and I'm spray painting it with a chalk spray paint from Rust-Oleum. You could also just paint it if you want. I just think this is a little bit faster. And then I'm going to take my red water-based marker and just draw a line, almost creating that candy cane look. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, I would love it if you consider subscribing, pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. I am almost finished up with all of my Christmas in July crafts, and I can't wait for Christmas to come. So for my next one, I am going to be making a sign, and I'm using some of these napkins that I had left over from last year. I will leave the video at the end for you to check out how I use these napkins. I did create quite a bit of DIYs with them, and one pack I still have probably more than half left. And I just used the square, wood square that I got from Dollarama and just glue it on using Mod Podge. This is such a simple way to add Christmas spirit to your tray.
Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Not only green when summer's here, but also when it's cold and drear. Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Oh, Christmas tree, such pleasure do.
Another very simple DIY, I am using this flower pot that I got at our dollar store with more, and a little bottle brush tree that I had left over from last year. You can find them at Dollar Tree and Dollarama. And I'm going to paint my little flower pot with some white chalk paint, and I'm not going over it with a thick amount. Just enough to cover it. I don't mind if some of that wood shows through.
You bring me, oh Christmas tree, such pleasure do you bring me. For every year this Christmas tree brings to us such joy and glee. Oh Christmas tree, such pleasure do.
Once the pot had time to dry, I just take that piece of rope that I removed from the very first sign and just hot glue it across it just to give it a little bit of decor. Now at this point, I thought this is how I wanted it to look, but I was finding it was a little bit too plain looking, so I ended up embellishing it with some of the little greenery stuff that I had, just odds and ends that I had in my stash.
You bring me. Oh Christmas tree, you'll ever be unchanging, a symbol of good.
Now that this is done, I am ready to add my tree. I just chop off the bottom just so it sits nicely in there, not too tall, and I just shove it in there, and it was sitting really, really nicely in there.
Will and love, you'll ever be unchanging, each shining light, each silver bell, no one alive.
For this next DIY, I'm using a piece of wood that I had in my stash. You can also use the same square wood square that I was using for the red truck sign if you do not have another piece like this. And I'm going to paint it with my Christmas red acrylic paint. And I want this to be a solid coverage.
Cheer so well, oh Christmas tree, you'll ever be unchanging, oh Christmas tree, oh.
Once this was fully dried, I take that chalkboard marker and I am just going to write Let It Snow on it. I think the contrast red to white is absolutely stunning and perfect for Christmas time. I could use my vinyl to write this out, to cut this out and just add it, but I wanted to show you different ways you can do DIYs without using your Cricut, even in case if you don't have it. Cricut definitely makes life a lot easier, but not everybody has one, so I like to give you options throughout. I share lots of DIYs with Cricut, but I also want to show couple without. And then I had these snowflakes in my stash, and I'm just adding them. These do have a touch of sparkle, which I am not an overly sparkly person, but I love the way it looks on this side.
Christmas tree, you'll ever be unchanging.
For the next side, I picked this wood sign. This is quite a thick sign, and I can't remember which dollar store I picked it up. I thinking came from dollar store with more, but it could have come from Dollar Tree as well. I am just not sure. And I give it a dry brushing of the white chalk paint, and then once that was done and had some time to dry, I use my red water-based marker and just do some writing on here as well. I love adding little signs like this to my tier tray, and I happen to have like 4 different tier trays, so I need 10 of decor. Let me know down in the description box if you guys like decorating your tier trays. It is definitely one of my favorite ways to add seasonal decor to my home, and I have one, like I said, I have several of them, and I always change them up seasonally. If you want to see how I decorate all those, make sure you head on over to my home channel to check that out.
Under the tree, tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me. The snow is.
Now these have been a great hit. Everybody's buying these up. There are ones that are with circle beads, but I was not the fortunate one to actually get one with circled beads, round beads, so I used the square ones, and these worked just as well in creating a tassel for my tier tray. I did find some back during lockdown, and the way they had them placed, I thought I was able to buy them, but then the lady didn't let me buy them. I was quite upset about it, but I did get over it pretty quick. And then once they opened up, they no longer had the wood round ones, just the square ones. But to be honest with you, I haven't gone back since it opened up, and we've been opened up for probably over a month or so. So I just, but I had like 2 or 3 sets of these in my stash, so I thought I used them up. I do love the way they turned out. I mean, you can paint these to any color you want. This would look great in a candy cane pattern. I am using red, green, and then just leaving 2 of them the natural color. I absolutely love the way this turned out. With this pattern, but like I said, you can paint these any way you want to suit your Christmas style. I happen to have them almost for every season, and I think it's just such a nice way to again add some decor to your tier tray. Now for the end, I am making a little tassel by wrapping the rope 20 times around my hand. I have a fairly large hand, so 20 times was plenty for me. And then I just tie another piece of, and I tie it to the beads, and then I tie another piece just to create almost like a head for the tassel. And I think this looks fabulous.
The first for you and me. Another year went by, but the difference this time is that ever since July, I've been happier than I have ever been. It's safe to say that my love for you is true. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for me and you.
For this one, I am using giant tongue depressors or popsicle sticks. This one didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to. I just couldn't get my green to be the color that I envisioned it. I ended up using a Christmas green, which I did find was a little too bright. And then I went over it with some hunter green to darken it up, but it still didn't quite reach the dark color that I was hoping for. I do end up adding a little bit of a white chalk paint to it just to see if it'll give me more of a look that I was going for, and it did. It just wasn't the green that I was looking for. And then I just hot glued them crisscross together, and I added some rope and some embellishments to them. And if you are still not sure what I'm making, I was going for the skis. That is what I was making. I think this will look good in kind of poking out of a jar or something, and to make them look even a little bit more like skis, I just ended up cutting a point on the top part of them just to make them look more like skis. What do you think? Do they look like skis? Let me know down in the comments.
I longed for this moment to have you.
And for this one, I went for a different colored look. I got this snowflake. It fell off of one of my signs from dollar store, so I kept it, and I kept the signs because I'm planning on reusing that for something else. But I liked the fact that the snowflake was black, and I think it's gonna go well with my very first sign that I made. I ended up painting the square from Dollarama, spray painting it with some white chalk paint. I'm simply just doing this because it's faster. You could also just paint it with a brush. And once this was fully dried, I just hot glue the little snowflake to the top of it, and that's it. This was such a simple DIY, and I think it's, like I said, it's gonna look great with my first sign that I made over on my tier tray that I'm gonna be using over on my hot cocoa station.
For myself in a cabin out in nowhere, just us and no one else. I've decorated.
Well, I hope you have enjoyed these easy budget friendly DIYs. If you did, make sure you press that thumbs up, leave me a comment, share it with a friend, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you part of my YouTube family. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I appreciate your continuing support so much. If you're stopping by from one of the other channels in the playlist, welcome. I'm so glad you decided to press that watch button and stuck around till the end. I will see you all in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.
Everything till we're perfect for this week. Tomorrow